It was a quiet night in Compton, the kind of night where the air felt heavier than usual. The streetlights flickered as if they had a story of their own to tell, and the distant hum of the city's pulse seemed almost like a heartbeat. But for one young man, this night would change everything. Kendrick Lamar, a name that would soon be on the lips of millions, was about to face a turning point, a choice, a moment, a decision that would define not only his future, but the future of the world around him. What he didn't know yet was that he was standing at the edge of something much bigger than himself. The world didn't know it yet, but that night, Kendrick was about to speak truth to power in a way that would resonate far beyond the streets of Compton. But how did he get here? What led him to this exact moment? This is the story of a boy from the streets, a young man who would defy the odds, challenge the system, and leave an imprint on history that would never be erased. Stay with me, because this journey isn't just about the rise of a star. It's about the fire that burns in all of us, waiting for the right moment to ignite. And trust me, you won't see this coming. Kendrick had always been the quiet type, the kind of kid who didn't need to say much to be understood. Growing up in Compton, a place where survival was an art form, he learned early on that words could be weapons, but only if used carefully. He had a gift, though, a way with language that could cut through the noise, grab attention, and hold it in the way only truth could. But no one knew this yet, not even Kendrick. As a teenager, he had his moments of doubt. The weight of expectations was heavy, and the world outside his community didn't offer much hope. The media often painted Compton as a place of danger, crime, and despair. To many, it was a story of lost potential, a narrative Kendrick never fully accepted. He knew there was more to him, more to the people around him, and more to the story he was meant to tell. But would anyone listen? It wasn't until Kendrick dropped his first mixtape, Youngest Head Nigga in Charge, that the world began to take notice. The beats were raw, the lyrics sharp, and they spoke to something deeper. It was the sound of someone who had seen the darkest corners of life and found the strength to rise above it. But even then, Kendrick didn't feel like he had quite figured it out. He was just a kid from Compton, trying to make sense of the chaos. It was in the middle of all this uncertainty that Kendrick stumbled upon his breakthrough. One night, as he sat in the dimly lit room of a friend's studio, something clicked. He had the beats. He had the words. But what he was missing was the truth that came from facing his demons head on. He decided to pour everything into the music, to lay bare his struggles, his fears, and his hopes for a better future. But this wasn't just about his personal journey. This was bigger. This was about the collective experience of everyone who had ever been overlooked, underestimated, and ignored. Kendrick was going to use his voice to speak for those who couldn't speak for themselves. The result? A project that would change the game forever. As he released Section .80, Kendrick's message began to resonate with a larger audience. People weren't just listening to the music, they were feeling it. They were hearing his words and realizing they weren't just Kendrick's words, they were their own. Still, it wasn't easy. The industry wasn't kind to newcomers, especially those who didn't fit the typical mold. But Kendrick had something they didn't expect, a fire that couldn't be extinguished, and an authenticity that the world couldn't ignore. In the years that followed, Kendrick Lamar's rise was nothing short of meteoric. Good Kid, MAAD City, became a cultural phenomenon. It was a masterpiece of storytelling, capturing the complexities of life in Compton, with a level of honesty that was both unsettling and beautiful. Kendrick wasn't just rapping about his experiences, he was dissecting them, forcing his listeners to confront the realities of life in a way no one had dared before. But success brought its own set of challenges. With each album, Kendrick's voice grew louder, and so did the pressure. Everyone wanted a piece of him. Everyone had an opinion. But Kendrick knew better than to let the noise drown out his purpose. He was here for a reason, and that reason was bigger than just making music. It was about changing the conversation, one lyric at a time. And then came To Pimp a Butterfly, the album that would solidify Kendrick's place in history. It wasn't just an album, it was a revolution. Kendrick's exploration of race, identity, and social justice struck a chord with millions. The world had been waiting for someone to speak the truth, to say the things everyone was thinking, but no one had the courage to say. Kendrick Lamar was that voice. But even then, the fight wasn't over. Each new project Kendrick released was a challenge to the system. A system that told him he had to fit a certain mold, a system that expected him to follow the same old path. But Kendrick didn't play by those rules. He rewrote them, and in doing so, he showed the world that art could be both a mirror and a weapon. Now, as he stands at the height of his career, Kendrick Lamar is more than just a rapper. He's a symbol of resistance, a voice for the unheard, and a force for change. He didn't just challenge the system, he dismantled it, and it's not over yet. Now, as we stand on the edge of this journey, one question remains. What's next for Kendrick Lamar? Will he continue to break barriers, challenge norms, and push the boundaries of what it means to be an artist? Or will he turn his attention to something even greater? One thing's for sure, his story is far from over. And if you've learned anything from this journey, it's that when you speak your truth, when you refuse to back down, there is no limit to what you can accomplish. So, to anyone listening, remember this: you have a story, you have a voice, and just like Kendrick, you have the power to change the world. Keep speaking, keep fighting, and never let anyone tell you who you're meant to be. Thank you for watching. I hope this story has inspired you as much as Kendrick's journey has inspired millions. Keep your eyes open, your mind sharp, and your heart true. The world is waiting for your story to unfold.